What is up, all of you beautiful Star Wars fans from around the globe? I am your host, Josh, and this is a little live stream that I wanted to do talking about the future of Disney Star Wars. And quite frankly, why I am so pumped about the future of Disney Star Wars. I think that we have a lot to look forward to. So if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to drop some stuff in the comments section. If you're watching this live, the way we're going to do this is I'm going to sort of make my points, go over the future of Disney Star Wars, talk about a few things, and then we will get to the Q&A. So towards the end of the video, we'll do Q&A. I'm going to answer every super chat that comes in. We'll probably stream for about an hour. And so, yeah, I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. A super chat sort of guarantees that I answer your question, but we'll get to all of that in a second. What's up, everybody in the chat? Hey, hello. So the first thing I want to talk about actually is Galaxy's Edge. I don't know how many of you are following what's going on with Galaxy's Edge, like why we should be pumped. Oh, I got my coffee all right, Heather. Hey, by the way, guys, everybody let me know, how's the audio in the stream? I know last week we had to change it a lot. I'm actually doing a different kind of streaming. A different kind of streaming than I did last time. It's kind of technical jargon or whatever, but this is through YouTube's proprietary stream thing other than OBS. It sounds like it's good. People are saying it's good. Okay, good. Just let me know if the audio is no good for everybody. All right, so we're going to talk about Galaxy's Edge. I am super excited for Galaxy's Edge. This thing is going to be amazing. And I think the first thing I really wanted to focus on here, and this is what I wrote down in my notes, is that this is where we will see the true value of the Disney purchase. So a lot of people right now, we're just going to be real about the situation. Some people are like, not super pumped about what Disney is doing with Star Wars. Okay. So the thing for me is that this is where we actually get the real benefit of Disney purchasing Star Wars. Like George, Lucasfilm, everybody over there, ILM, all of that, they would not be able to do what Disney and the Imagineers and everybody over there are going to be able to do in Galaxy's Edge. So I just think that that's something that a lot of people should be taking into consideration. It's like, this is where the real value comes in. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is basically this idea that from the time the Disney purchase happened till probably in the next couple of years, maybe by 2020, that we're sort of going through what I would call growing pains. And that the future beyond that is way more exciting and will be universally exciting to everyone that is a big fan of Star Wars. So, there's some things that I think objectively Disney is not necessarily nailing. There's a lot of stuff that they can learn as they go on. But most of all, what I'm trying to get across in this video is that the future is bright. There are some really cool things happening out there, okay? Hey, by the way, guys, I just want to do a little test in the chat. If everybody could smash the like button, everybody that is enjoying the stream so far, if you could smash that like button, I want to see how the metrics are working here. And see how good we are. Oh, we're bumping up in likes. Awesome. Cool. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Heather. You're so sweet. Okay, so let's talk about Galaxy's Edge. So Galaxy's Edge, I don't know if you guys have been following too much about this. It looks amazing. And what they're trying to do with Galaxy's Edge is very, very ambitious. Essentially, the idea is that you will step into the movies. Okay, now a lot of what goes on in Disneyland, that immersion is a big part of it. But what is happening with Galaxy's Edge is unique in a sense because they're trying to move the technology like very, very far in that immersion type of a thing. And so the setting is the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to aesthetics. Like if you look at the construction they are doing and the way they are trying to replicate Batuu, it is ridiculous. Like it's quite crazy to contemplate. It looks absolutely amazing. And you'll notice also that a lot of the creatures, the character designs, like when you go there, you'll be able to actually see a Lothcat, like a Lothcat in, I don't know if you want to call it necessarily real life, but it's at least more real life than seeing it in a movie or a show, right? And so they're going to have those sort of creatures. They're going to have the settings. It's going to feel very good. But the thing that's really going to tie it together, what I'm really interested in, is the immersive story that you are said to go through when you are at Galaxy's Edge. It's something like escaping from the First Order and then, getting into the Millennium Falcon and sort of doing a choose your own adventure where you kind of go around the park and have all these really, really immersive experiences. And what they are doing from a technological standpoint with this experience is kind of like on another level. They're essentially trying to make it so that if you go, and there's also going to be a hotel, at least in the Orlando one, which, by the way, is so weird. When I was doing my research, they call the Orlando park the Hollywood Studios version of Disney World. It's like, what? Shouldn't that be the LA one? I don't know. It's really confusing when I was doing research. But essentially, they're going to have this hotel that's a Star Wars themed hotel. So it's going to be like you're in a Star Wars hotel. And then the way you travel will take you like right into the park where you basically won't have to interact with the real world. You can kind of just go right in, and then all of a sudden you're in your adventure or you're in a different part of the park. There's different things going on where that Millennium Falcon ride is said to have just so many massive CPUs built around it so that essentially when you look out of a window, it's creating this really immersive feeling that everything feels accurate. You know what I mean? Like whether you're in hyperspace or, near a planet or whatever, everything should feel congruent and diegetic to the world, to the story world. So, I mean, that's absolutely crazy. And when you think about some of the tech that they are working on as well, they're trying to get like something like a Force Ghost or a hologram that, could pop up on a communicator or something like that. They are trying to get that to be like functional, like actually functional. And a lot of people online made the comparison to the Pirates of the Caribbean thing where you can see all the ghosts. I forget. I haven't been to Disneyland in a long, long time, but essentially there's a place where they have all these holograms of different ghosts on one of the attractions or one of the rides. And thanks, Girls with Saber, for shouting out the beard. It probably looks awful right now. I don't even have my face on. But yeah, so they're trying to take the idea of the Force Ghost or the hologram to the next level. Like they're investing a lot of money into this technology. Like I'm not even kidding. It's absolutely crazy to contemplate. They're trying to make a thing with lightsabers as well, to this point where you will have a prop, okay, and then it'll work in augmented reality, right? AR with some kind of glasses device or something. So you will have a lightsaber and it'll be a physical prop, but then through the AR will be this glowing effect. You know what I mean? The lightning or the clash and the crazy energy. Basically, I say all of this to say that what's happening with Galaxy's Edge is a Star Wars fan's like nerdy wet dream, like complete immersion that will be like on another level. And the promise from Disney, and this was sort of outlined in their traditional purchasing, right? Is this idea of the canon? Okay, so all of this is canon. Batuu is canon, and so what really is happening here is a way for you to come in and experience the actual canon in an immersive way, which should connect you more to it. And so there's a lot of that is going to be complex. That's going to be really, really hard to figure out, essentially. But that is the most exciting thing. Like when I think about the future of Disney Star Wars, once again, this is just something that Lucasfilm would not be able to do on its own. And so this is where the real value in the Disney purchases is going to move forward. Now, I do want to shout out another YouTube channel. It's DSNY Newscast. This dude has an incredible YouTube channel. A lot of the information that I absorbed about Galaxy's Edge comes from him. So guys, definitely go check that dude out. It's a great channel if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in Galaxy's Edge. That is DSNY, which is like, Disney Newscast. So definitely check that out. So that's going to be really cool. Now, one last thing when it comes to Galaxy's Edge, And essentially where I really want to go with this live stream with you guys, where I really want to sort of open your mind up to, is this idea that Galaxy's Edge will play as sort of a canvas for them to sort of paint experiences on that will, I hope, run congruent with the canon. And what I mean is, after episode 9, maybe moving into the future, because I feel like no matter if they take the trilogy route, no matter if they do the Skywalker thing or they do something different, essentially the story that is Star Wars has to move forward, right? So it has to move forward. We need to know moving forward what these characters are going to be doing. What's the state of the galaxy? You know, whether, let's just say Finn's the only person that survives episode 9. We're still going to want to know what happens to Finn. We're going to want to know what happens in the galaxy. And Finn is sort of our narrative anchor for that. And so I am excited for the idea, and this is years down the line, but the idea that what is happening in canon currently, like moving forward, will be replicated at Galaxy's Edge. And so even if maybe there's only a movie every 2 years, the time in between, especially if it's working with the story group and the different creatives over at Lucasfilm, that you can still sort of experience what is happening in the canon in that immersive way and have it relate to what's going on in the movies and the story that is being pushed forward. Okay. So that, I think, is when Disney envisioned their canon and this promise that moving forward, everything would be connected and that it would create that, that kind of a feeling. That is what I think they were going for, because Disney is, yeah, it does sound insanely dope and expensive for sure. But Disney is the company, they get most of their revenue from the parks. Like the parks actually make them the most money. Some of these movies, even the big ones, they don't account for a huge amount of revenue for Disney itself. And a lot of that just has to do with the way that the investment stuff works in Hollywood and the way that cash flow goes, right? And so it's great for building a brand up and for getting stuff out there. But when it comes to like hard cash flow, the parks are really where it is at for Disney. And so I think this was sort of the end game from them. This is what they wanted to do. They wanted to establish this canon, like bring this awesome Star Wars thing to people, and then have a way for it to work congruently forward with the parks. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's not too jargony. So one last point, and then we will get into the Q&A. But this has to do with what I'm talking about here. The thing that Disney needs to work on moving forward that will solidify this idea and their path, that, you know, what they could do with this, is they really need to figure out how to properly build the canon forward. And so I look at the sequel trilogy as sort of their first, you know, run into that, their first like go at that. And honestly, you can see like all the way across the boards, just little snags in the process. Pardon me, I needed some Java. You can see little snags in the process, you know, like the baton passing method of having different writers and directors do each part. That's sort of a snag. Even the canon around it, different books and comics that touched on that area in canon, you know, you can see just little snags. Yeah, that mug's magical. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Nerdy News Rundown mugs are straight magic. And so, you know, let me know if you're interested in getting one of those. They and we give one away each Friday as well. But yeah, moving back forward, look, I think that they need to address these snags and sort of go through these growing pains. And then the next series of films or the next chunk of content that is meant to drive the story forward needs an incredible amount of focus and attention. They need to take their time and figure that shit out. That is really, really important. And I have all the faith in the world that they will. So what I think the next couple of years look like for the future of Disney Star Wars is, if they have the Dan and Dave trilogy, a lot of people think that's going to be the Old Republic. Even if it's not, I highly doubt it's in the future. It's somewhere from close to episode 9 to like the beginning of Star Wars. That's what I think. And that's okay, because they'll fill out that story there. That's a lot easier for them. And the Star Wars show. We know that exists before The Force Awakens. And so it's kind of in that nice little package. So they need to sort of get their skills, work on their skills of how this canon can go. And then like a huge, massive amount of their resources needs to go to planning very, very strategically what happens next in the story. And they need to spend all of their energy in the next couple of years on planning that, so that when they take those steps, they can show off all of the cool stuff that they're building in the canon, all of the dope stuff, and also have a very, very well laid plan so that they don't run into all of these little problems. And so I think that's where we need to go. That is the big thing for Disney moving forward, is planning that out. And then in the meantime, continue to give us good content, like figuring this out. Like for instance, like when it comes to the live action Jon Favreau Star Wars show, like let's be real, that is a very challenging idea. Star Wars has never existed as a live action television show. A lot of people think, oh, well, this might cheapen the brand. You know what I mean? Now there's Star Wars everything. But this is the thing. They need to nail that show and not have it feel like a money grab, and have it feel really Star Wars and be this great piece of content, because that will lay the foundation for the expansion of content all around. And so next year is huge for Disney, but it's massively important for Star Wars. You have Episode 9, you have Galaxy's Edge, you have the live streaming and the live action television show. And so even though like what I'm kind of telling you guys is like we have to sort of keep our eye on the ball for the next couple of years, and I would say by 2020 we will have just like the Star Wars fandom will eclipse everything. It'll be this fantastic, amazing thing. But even that said, next year is going to be incredibly dope. We have so much good stuff to look forward to. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there, just kind of, do a little rant, I guess, about where I think we're going with Star Wars, why I'm excited about it, what Lucasfilm needs to do, and all the cool stuff that's coming out next year. So now let's shift into Q&A mode, and I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to the chat, and we will have some fun together. How's everybody's Sunday going, by the way? Ooh, Girls with Sabers with the super chat. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Let's answer this question right away. Do you think we will see a live action Thrawn in any medium? That's a very good question. So the fanboy, okay, so obviously the fanboy in me is like, we freaking better. Like I don't see why not. I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Thrawn is an insanely popular character. And so I just don't understand why you wouldn't. But then again, okay, so let me give this example. So when it comes to like the Ahsoka character, a big reason that we don't necessarily see Ahsoka all over the place is because that's Filoni's baby. And so anytime she would be used in any kind of content, like it has to go through him. And because he is not doing that, usually the live action stuff, it's a weird process. Like it has to kind of ping back and forth. And so I think there's a lot of problems that are created because, ultimately he has complete control of that character. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't, but as far as like from a, I guess, production standpoint, that's the challenge. Probably similar thing with Thrawn because, Timothy Zahn is just so respected over there, and people they love that character. They respect that character. And so I think you would run into a similar type of situation. But that being said, like my hope for the live action show and like why I'm like really, really pumped about the live action show is I think that's the perfect place to do it. Have just an episode. Like this is what's so freaking cool. Like when you look at like the Flash show, you know what I mean? And different like shows on TV for superheroes, they will take an episode to like plug in their thing, right? Like the thing they're pumped about in DC. And I think the same will go for the Star Wars show. So it might not be season 1 or whatever, but like season 2, season 3, it's like, yo, can we have some live action Thrawn? Even if it's just a communication thing back and forth, you know what I mean? Or like a flashback episode or something. So that is my very thorough and weird answer. Thank you so much for the super chat. By the way, guys, you should all be checking out Girls with Sabers. They have a great YouTube channel. They do really, really cool content, a lot of Raylo stuff, and I really like their channel a lot. All right, let's do this one by Redundant Ramblings. Do you think we will see a Star Wars trilogy from Gareth Edwards? Interesting question. I don't know that there's precedence for that. I will say that Rogue One's probably the most universally loved film of the Disney canon. And so maybe, I mean, it would kind of make sense for that, I suppose. I'd be down, but then again, there comes this question with Gareth, right? Where it's like the rumor, right, is that he made a really dark sort of war film, and that Disney was like, no. But there's also a lot of people that are saying that no, that's not what happened. He made a shitty film. He made a shitty movie, and then they had to bring people in to clean it up. And so I think maybe because of that confusion and what actually happened behind the scenes, it'll be interesting to see if he ever even gets another Star Wars thing, you know, because right now the only director that's gotten multiple Star Wars stuff in the new stuff is JJ. Right now, Ryan is supposedly getting the trilogy, and like, let's, you know, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole, but as of right now, it is greenlit to have that trilogy. So Ryan is the only other director that's been given multiple stuff. So I don't know. Maybe. I like Gareth. He seems cool. I'd love for him to get more stuff. Hannah Brooke Media. Do you think we will see more Kira in the future? Because I feel like the ending of Solo definitely leaves it open. Yeah, I mean, okay, so here, oh, snap. Vincent Vendetta's in the house. What's going on, brother? So do you think we'll see more Kira in the future? It's possible. Look, I think the original plan here was to do a Han Solo trilogy or maybe multiple films in that era. To your point, Hannah, yeah, it really seemed like the way they set it up was to support more of that story. You know, I like Kira. I'm a fan of the Mother of Dragons. I'd be down. But then again, the problem with that, of course, is the box office to Solo. So the box office to Solo almost guarantees that we will not be seeing another one of those movies. We could see that story play out in a book, a comic. Yeah, there's multiple ways, but the problem is the box office. Almost just ruined everything. Sorry, guys. Rob Orwig, do you think we're going to see Anakin Skywalker's Padawan in the new Clone Wars show? Wait, okay, so do you think Anakin has a new Padawan? I don't think he does. I think the whole idea there, and the reason I'm really excited about the new season of Clone Wars, is that it will draw more connective tissue to Revenge of the Sith. And so Anakin has no Padawan in Revenge of the Sith, and he and Obi-Wan seem to have been really doing a lot together. And so I don't think he has another apprentice. And particularly like with the war and stuff, like I just don't. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that, but I don't think he has another apprentice. If that's news out there, if that's something that people have been talking about, it went completely over my head. I missed that 100%. Yeah, the Game of Thrones guys will be interesting, Redundant. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I really hope they let them be a little unchained. You know what I mean? Like really let Dan and Dave do their thing. Obviously, it's Star Wars. You don't want it to be like gruesome and all that. But like, I mean, you're talking about a franchise where there's a dismembered person in every single one of them. A lot of hands being chopped off. Anakin's decapitating people. Like I couldn't believe I saw Attack of the Clones when I was super young, and Anakin just beheading all of those Tusken Raiders. I was like, damn, like, what is this for kids? I'm a kid. Yo, Mr. Planetarian. That is a very good point. Emilia Clarke just has the worst luck in the movies she picks. So, it would be really tough. I imagine being an actor and actress, you really do want to think about that sort of stuff. Like think about the ideas, but then again, she's working on huge franchises. Transformers, Star Wars, on paper, those seem like really good moves. So yeah, Amelia Clark is just yeah, she's just got bad luck, I think. Do I think Finn is Lando's son? Nope, definitely not. I love this question by Christopher. Do you think Luke's sea cow milk is low fat? Looked like he had gained some weight. Yeah, I don't know. I imagine his diet on that island was actually pretty good though, for his health. You know what I mean? He's got those big fishes, a lot of omega-3s in there, a lot of nice fats. So yeah, he was probably doing pretty good. The green milk probably had a lot of nutrients in it. I mean, it's green, which implies some photosynthetic something or other, I would suppose, right? So maybe there's some algae or something. I don't know. Ooh, here we go, Girls with Saber. I definitely want to talk about this. What do I think of Ryan Johnson's comments about Mike Zero? Oh boy, here we go. So, first of all, I've always been kind of a defender of Mike. I just think that at the end of the day, the guy just makes a ton of Star Wars content that a lot of Star Wars fans enjoy, and that in of itself, I believe, adds value to the community. And it's something Vince and I talked about. This is something Vince and I talked about a couple weeks back, where we kind of think that Mike is sort of an unspoken hero in the Star Wars community, because like, dude, Star Wars itself ain't doing much to pump people up for episode 9. I mean, they're trying, but not really. Mike is not only doing so, but reaching an audience that otherwise would be completely disengaged. So, I mean, the Star Wars haters, the people that are like super mad, they're watching a lot of his stuff. Like, I know this. I look at the analytics. So in that way, like he has access to a group of people that Disney desperately wants to open up a through line of communication to. And he is doing content that is pumping people up for Star Wars Episode 9. And so because of that, I have always said, I respect Mike. I respect what is going on over there. And a lot of his stuff is like speculatory, obviously. I mean, and he even says the famous Mike Zero line, take this with a grain of salt, which should just be his thumbnail. You know what I mean? That should be his catchphrase. Take this with a grain of salt. So I've always said that, right? But here's what's funny about like the internet and what happens when people start talking online. So, you hear all this stuff, and I sort of make my own kind of assumptions based on the people I follow, my thoughts on Mike. And then one of the YouTubers that I respect just so much, a guy named Geekdom 101. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Does anybody know who Geekdom 101 is? He's a Dragon Ball YouTuber, probably the best out there, in my opinion. Geekdom 101 put some stuff on Twitter about interactions that he had with Mike Zero. Literally had tweets between him and Mike Zero back and forth, screenshot it. And I got to tell you guys, I lost a lot of respect for Mike Zero when I saw what he was doing when it comes to geekdom. And geekdom's like no saint either. Like, I love the guy, but he's done a lot of like clickbaity stuff. He sort of invented spoiler culture for the Dragon Ball stuff and was really, monetizing a lot on that. But I love geekdom. I respect geekdom. I trust what he says. And so when I saw that on Twitter, I was like, damn, Mike Zero, maybe you are kind of a douche. Maybe you are kind of just throwing all this stuff at the wall. That being said, the truth is probably somewhere in between. Mike is a flawed person. We are all flawed people. Probably made a lot of mistakes. What do I think about Ryan saying that? Well, Ryan deleted those tweets. To my knowledge, I think Ryan even deleted the tweet where he confirmed his new trilogy. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, he deleted his tweets. So yeah, he should have done that. Definitely should have done that. He knows he shouldn't have done that. He deleted the tweet. Shouldn't be calling out Mike Zero. Definitely shouldn't be saying that we had a guy checking on online rumors during the production of The Last Jedi. What Vince? He literally said, okay, so this all started with a guy saying, are you still working on your Star Wars trilogy? I'm waiting for it. And so Ryan said, yep, with a fist pound emoji. Okay. And then the whole internet was like, confirmed. Ryan's on a trilogy, confirmed. And the guy expressed back to Ryan that, so Mike Zero was lying when he said that your trilogy was canceled, man. And then Ryan said, interestingly said, oh, this is all from Zero. By the way, spelled his name right. Weird. I was like, wait, so you do know Mike Zero because you spelled his name with an H. I was like, that is interesting. So he writes, we had a guy on set, or we had a guy during the production checking on online rumors. It got so out of control, we started using zero as a verb. Like when you would miss a basket or something would fall out, or you would screw up, you zeroed it. Yeah. I was like, yo, what? Shouldn't have said that, Ryan Johnson. Shouldn't have said it. yeah, dude, such shade. Threw such shade at him, right? And then what happened was, what I saw happening was like a lot of people online started throwing a bunch of shade at Mike. And there's this war going on right now between like the Geeks and Gamers and Ethan Van Sciver and people like Jason Ward, and this whole hashtag force out the hate, right? And so they just have this huge social war going on between the people that are not happy with Lucasfilm Star Wars and are monetizing it. The real issue is that they're monetizing off of people's dislike for Star Wars. Which, like, whose fault is that? We live in a capitalist society. But anyway, and so that's what people are butthurt about. And so Jason Ward and some other people online were like really going at Mike Zero. And I was like, whoa, like why? This seems so crazy to me. But then once again, when I saw the tweets between him and Geekdom, I was like, damn, I don't think I can defend Mike Zero anymore. So that's where I stand on that. By the way, the Nerds Talk Star Wars episode, which will come out later tonight, I sat down with James Rosile and we talked about this. And literally, I have to record an amendment to what we talked about because at the time, I was way more pissed off at people coming at Mike. And now I know a little bit more and I'm like, yo, can't really defend Mike Zero. So I have to amend the video for later. Bye, girls with sabers. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Guys, hit me up with some more questions. I'm going to go for like 20 minutes at least more. Just hit me up with some questions. Of course, every super chat will be answered. So if you want to drop a super chat in, I will spend some time and really go deep on your question. And I'll try to grab some through the chat as well. Title predictions. I like the New Order. A lot of people have been talking about that, the New Order. I like that one a lot. I also love the idea of the blue text, of doing the deep blue text. I think that's cool. Thoughts on where Ezra is? Probably like in the unknown regions. So I think that when he and Thrawn, and really I hope that like Dave gets to tell this story in some way, Filoni, of course. I think that when he and Thrawn like take the whales and go, I really do think it's like as far away as possible from the conflict and everything. So I think that they are sort of hanging out in the outer rim. And the idea is I think that they have to work together, that Thrawn and Ezra would have to work together. Now, what's so cool about that is that Ezra threw Thrawn off. He's so crazy with his plans that even the brilliant strategist, the supreme or the Grand Admiral himself could not keep up and predict what Ezra was thinking. And so I love that idea. You got like the Sherlock Holmes, and then you got this guy that's so off the wall that the Sherlock Holmes can't see what's coming. For them to have to work together and form some strategy together, I think would be really, really cool. What do you think of Star Wars fan fiction? I think Star Wars fan fiction is amazing. I think everybody who has the ability to tell a cool story that loves Star Wars fan fiction, I think they should be telling out that story. There's a lot of great fan films. Like I love some of the Darth Maul fan films that came out. And honestly, guys, fan fiction and fan films sort of kept this fandom strong and together when it was not. Like during the prequel times and even before the prequel times, a lot of like, and you could think of the EU in a lot of ways as sort of fan fiction. And so it's cool. Fan fiction is great. And more Star Wars fans should be exploring their fandom that way. All right, Matt C. Do you think Kylo? Oh crap! Lost your question. Your question was, do I think Kylo will turn good, or is he going to remain the big bad guy? I really go back and forth on this. I was telling people at the beginning of this new trilogy after The Force Awakens, I was like, no, do not turn this man. Do not redeem this man. I was like, nah. And after The Last Jedi, I'm a little bit more like, yeah, he's going to get redeemed, and I'm okay with it. Now I've sort of come around to that idea, but I would not be mad if they kept him the villain. Like, the thing is, I really believe they have to do something to set up the canvas moving forward. And if my ideas about Galaxy's Edge are correct, they need to have the First Order still around to continue to tell in-canon stories in Galaxy's Edge as we move forward through the story. So I think the First Order is going to stick around no matter what. Why not continue to have the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren? Could be really cool. During the dark times, during the prequel times. The title's a bit pretentious. Maybe. What destiny do you think they will give Kylo Ren? Can Reylo become canon in episode 9, or is it just some fan invention? Juliana, Reylo is 100% happening. Reylo is 100% happening. And that does not necessarily mean, though, that it'll have a happy ending or that Kylo Ren will be redeemed on the other side of that. You know what I mean? Ooh, super chat from Heather Long. Thank you so much, Heather. You are amazing. The theme of The Force Awakens was loss. The theme of The Last Jedi was discovery. What do you think the theme of episode 9 will be? That's a good question. I'd say like closure and actual self-identity. So I think that a lot of if you think of the two protagonists in this film or in these series of films as Rey and Kylo, which is, I think, very obvious, but I think that they're the protagonists. I think self-identity and sureness in oneself is the path that they are both on. And so, Rey, they both have the call to action, call to adventure. Obviously Kylo's is on the dark side, you know what I mean? And he just got rid of his chains. He's liberated, no more Snoke and stuff like that. I really do believe that sort of forging an identity for oneself and taking responsibility, I think that that's sort of where we're going to go. And I think that'll be majorly reflected in Rey's journey. I think that she becomes the real benevolent Jedi, really, really conquers the bad part of her own nature, helps establish the Jedi, really becomes that sage-like person. And I think that sort of that will be the theme for it is it's like the adulthood. It's like growing up, right? I really do believe that Star Wars is ultimately a story of morality and forging of oneself. What decisions are you making? What path are you walking towards? Is it chaos, which will lead you to the oblivion? Is it order, which will lead you to hope and all those sort of things? And redemption, absolutely, Jessica. Redemption. I think that ultimately Kylo Ren will be redeemed. Some people are like, no, but I think ultimately he'll be redeemed in some way. And I've said this before in videos. I think it becomes a thing where he has to be so powerful and he will be able to just crush everything. And then he doesn't. He sort of walks back on that. Relinquishing one's power and relinquishing one's search for, ego and status and all these things, I think it's super hard. And I think that's kind of where his redemption will come from. Do I think Naboo will make an appearance in episode 9? I think that was Athlia. I'm sorry, the chat's moving kind of quick. Athlia, that would be dope. I hope so. Naboo's a super cool planet. It would really help to tie in all of the 9 films like JJ and Terrio were talking about. So that would be incredibly hype. I would love Naboo. Yeah, so I hope so. The Petrainator. Do you think Kylo will ever get the orange Sith eyes in episode 9? That would be really, really cool. I'd be into that. I like the Sith eyes, you know what I mean? And obviously Anakin had the Sith eyes. It would be a cool parallel to Revenge of the Sith, but I don't know. I mean, Kylo seems to be in the way some of the stuff's been described. It almost feels like Kylo's not going to have a lot of Sith degradation. That like his dark side abilities are not going to manifest themselves. That even though he's kind of doing Sith stuff, that he still might not be like degraded. Like he's not necessarily walking the evil path, right? He's not necessarily being dark side. But what would be interesting though is at the end of the film. So, like the way we're kind of contextually putting together the plot leaks, different things like that. What if Rey making Kylo realize how absolutely evil all the stuff he's doing is? What if that like sort of breaks him and makes him go Sith? Like the realization of that, almost like, oh crap, now I can't deny this darkness sort of thing. That would be really cool. So aesthetically, that would be sweet either way. Where do I think Lucasfilm will take the story once the sequel trilogy is over? Ella, good question. Personally, they need, like I've said, they need to set up something for the longevity of storytelling. I think that the ebb and flow here is going to go back to. So one of two things is going to happen. Either the First Order will reign supreme. I think is the first line in the crawl, maybe. For The Last Jedi. But either the First Order has to be majority in control or the New Republic has to be. Like you have to have the majority of the galaxy be good or the majority of the galaxy be bad. And then either the darkness is rising, sneaking through, trying to corrupt everything, or the good is fighting against impossible odds to liberate people and to spread hope and all those sort of things. So they have to figure out which way it's going to go. And ultimately, like, it could go either way. Like even if Kylo's redeemed or killed, the First Order still has a huge, massive advantage over the New Republic. More resources. If the Sky Forge or the Star Forge is to be believed, then yeah, they've still got that. And a lot of the planets are sort of going to that side of thinking. So I almost believe the First Order will reign supreme after this new trilogy, and then we'll have the slow rebellion, sort of thing. All right, guys, I'm going to go for like 20, 25 more minutes. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. I will answer every single super chat that comes in. So if you really, really want a question answered, hit me up with a super chat. Johnny Sparks, what are the chances of Rey and dark side? I think you mean like Rey going to the dark side. Man, it's tough because I really just don't think Disney's going to do that. But I would love it. I would love it. Rey's an interesting character. I like the Rey character. I think a lot of my love for the Rey character comes from the performance. Like Daisy just crushes it. And then again, like my whole, like the look at her, the perception I have of her is filled in by a lot of ancillary material. So it's really hard for me. I understand where, what's up, Kate? I'll get to that question in just a second. Oh, you're just saying hi. Kate, you're amazing. Thank you. So I get where people are like, oh man, I have a problem with the Rey character. She seems like a Mary Sue, blah, 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 blah. I don't have that perception because I read all the other stuff. I fill it all out and she's not. Like, I just know that. But I don't blame people for thinking that because they don't give you enough evidence in the films necessarily to support that idea. So would Rey, I'd love for Rey to go to the dark side, but I just don't think Disney's going to do it. Teaser trailer in November. I assume you mean for episode 9. That'd be super cool. Very much doubt it. But I do think we're getting something at Celebration, obviously. So next year, Star Wars Celebration, whatever happens with episode 9, I think will be that'll be a big deal. I'm so looking forward to be there. That was so fun. Star Wars Celebration is amazing. Guys, please, if you're going to Star Wars Celebration, like you got to hit me up on like Instagram or Twitter or whatever. And we'll be doing a lot of content from the show. And we want to interact. We'll do a meetup. I want to meet up with everybody. I'm trying, fingers crossed, I'm trying to get a Reylo panel. I'm going to have to maybe convince my Canadian friend Vincent Vendetta to fly down to Chicago. I'm trying to get a Reylo panel organized for Star Wars Celebration next year. And without giving too much away, my company just we just signed I don't know how much I can say. We're working with Reed Pop. Reed Pop is the company that puts on Star Wars Celebration. Reed Pop puts on a ton of different Comic Cons. The Den of Nerds has a relationship with Reed Pop now. And so hopefully moving forward, that will manifest itself into some cool content. Yeah, that's right, Vince. We're going to get you down in Chicago, bro. Did Ryan admit that the mechanical arm disappearing was a mistake? Someone let me know. I mean, it's kind of a pedantic thing to be upset about, I think. But I would want to know if he admitted that. There's a lot of there's imagery. I really hope they sell the anticipation for this with the imagery for episode 9. So even like some posters, like a crazy poster of Rey. Look, okay, Rey just standing around a bunch of Jedi. It's literally all you need. That would be hype. Teo Scouza. I don't believe in Reylo romantically. And basically, you're saying here that you don't think Disney would make a strong female Jedi hero having a romantic relationship. Well, I just completely disagree with that. I think that, especially because, and I say this all the time, but Disney and a lot of these companies, they're actually more conservative than you think. And it's not necessarily that they themselves are conservative. It's just that most of the world is actually really conservative, believe it or not. And they're trying to appease more conservative audiences broadly. And so the idea of a strong female character is perfectly acceptable within conservative ideology, especially when it comes with like romance. Like that makes sense. I mean, look at all of the strong female characters that Disney has already set up. And a lot of them are connected to romance. And the same thing goes with like Wonder Woman. So in the Wonder Woman movie, you know, Wonder Woman like oodles that baby, right? And she's like all excited about the baby. And a lot of people were like, that's stupid. Like she should not be that way. But that's more of like a modern interpretation of feminism and a more modern, postmodern interpretation of like the female role in society. And so I would just say, by the way, I'm not saying that any of that's objectively true. I'm just saying that that's what people consider. And so when it comes to this idea that Disney wouldn't do that, I wouldn't be so sure, man. This is the same company that fired James Gunn. We're not going to go down this rabbit hole, but fired James Gunn for tweets that were not in line with their conservative values. It's conservatives that were more pissed off about the James Gunn stuff than liberals, in my opinion. Ooh, Jessica Albright. I like this question. Aren't they going for a point where neither side is all good or all bad? I think to a degree they're introducing this gray morality, but ultimately they have to be super careful with that because that's not Star Wars. Like, that's not. So it's cool to have those ideas and themes in there, but ultimately Star Wars lives and dies by good versus evil. Like, it's just good versus evil. And it's a fairy tale, right? So it's a fairy tale. And you need strong good and strong evil, especially for young people. Like that's the idea of the fairy tale. And by the way, the way you objectively view the good and evil, that's totally like that happens on your end of it. You know, that's what's really cool about stories is it's a process that takes place from both parts, the people telling it and the people absorbing it. Oh man, chat's moving the idea of Anakin Force Ghost Vader. Okay, do I think Finn will be Lando's son and that they will find out his real name? JMG plays. No, I really don't. Like I don't think Finn is Lando's son. Okay, I just really don't. But I don't know if Finn ever had a real name. There's a lot that's like mysterious about that, right? The First Order, you know, grabbing up young kids and everything like that. But I'd like to believe there are more than 3 or 4 black characters in Star Wars, right? So I'd really like to believe that they're all not related. They don't have to be related. So, and I, by the way, I would really like to see that explored more. Like, should there not be planets that have majority dark skinned people? Should there not be places on planets that have majority dark skinned people? You know what I mean? Like, there's all sorts of different ways that I think that that can diegetically be addressed in the stories. But yeah, no, they're not. They're not father and son. Yes, yes. Heather's saying a lot of interesting stuff right now. I wish the chat I could read more of it. But yeah. So the whole idea, the ball's in your court, you know, Kylo sort of thing. I like that idea a lot. Um, I think there's something being taught about relationships, about trust, and about the female male relationship. And I think mostly what Star Wars should do, and this is just my opinion, is just allow it to happen organically and to sort of mirror like life, and that's it. Just stay hands off. Like, you, a lot of the mystery and a lot of what people will take away from the story, I think should be left up for interpretation. You don't want to necessarily come right out and say, this is what it means, this is how it is. You know what I mean? Because that, I think, can turn people off. Great point, Jessica Albright. All these planets with two suns would produce people with more melatonin or melanin. Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. Do I think Leia's character will live on in episode 9 out of respect for Carrie Fisher? I'm really interested to see how they handle that. I hope that, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. Leia is such an important character to Star Wars fans. Just such an important character, and losing her was tragic. And I think that they're going to spend a lot of money and a lot of time to get that whole situation right, and to make, to protect her performance, the integrity of the character, what it means for the universe, and move the story forward. You know what I mean? You can't plan for stuff like that, obviously. So you know, they have to pick up the pieces and do the best that they can. I am very excited to see what they do with Leia. A lot of trust, a lot of trust. Damien Fuqua, welcome to the live show, my friend. Watching the live show. Probably only going to go about 15 more minutes, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks for checking it out live. Will episode 9 be the longest Star Wars movie? I think so. I do, but not by much. It's not going to be much longer than The Last Jedi, but it's going to be long. They have a lot to cover. They have a lot to cover. How long will the jump be? I think it's going to be 5 years. I think 5 years is a really nice window. It gives you enough time to get a little bit more going on with the Resistance, some Jedi, you know, some more Jedi. Kylo Ren really be established as a leader. We'll have like a foundational, because like the one problem I think majorly with the sequel trilogy is just we really don't have context for what's going on in the galaxy. And I think that maybe they were so afraid of like politics in The Force Awakens that they purposely left that out. Because there was, remember, there was a subplot. Yeah, 5 years, Vince. I'm telling you, bro. There was a subplot with Leia's, like one of Leia's underlings, which you see her on the planet, where the Starkiller base destroys them. There was this whole political subplot that got cut out of the movie, and that would really, that would really have helped set that up, give us like what's going on there, right? So I'm hoping we get more of that. I hope that we get that figured out. Ooh, like this question, Matt C. I dig this question, bro. Which of the new cast members are you most excited to see, and who do you think will be the villains? I think Keri Russell is going to be the villain. I'm most excited to see Keri Russell. She's awesome. She's a badass. I'm secretly hoping that they do a version of the Mara Jade character I've put that out there a lot. I would really like to see that. I want to see more female Sith. Like, dude, Asajj Ventress is so cool. Asajj Ventress is a great character. The Mara Jade character obviously was dope back in the day. There's just man, like I'll just be completely real with you guys. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I don't care. I love the idea of a sexy Sith female. Like I just love it. I like that idea. So I'm interested to see that. I would love for her to be that. I'm most excited for that. Matt Smith is an interesting one. I do want to see where we go with that. A lot of different people have a lot of different opinions about him and how that will go down. He's a good actor, so interested to see that. But yeah, my answer is Kerry Russell. Osaka Rand, thank you so much. Only channel podcast I actively listen to. Thank you very much. Content creation is such a weird thing. I tell all my people, the Den of Nerds people, that like the one advantage that I think YouTube has, moving forward, and as we continue to do this, is that we can be just a little bit more real. But the weird thing about that is it makes me vulnerable. It makes the whole team vulnerable, because when you're real and you get exposed, right? Like think about this. I have so much of me talking online. So much of me talking is online. So people can really get a feel for me. And I think at this point, if I were a terrible person or a super benevolent person, which I'm somewhere in between, I'd like to believe, that would be out there for people to know. And so it gives you sort of you become sort of vulnerable, but I really am not afraid of it. I think more just because of like the way that I practice Zen and after you do this for a while, you just kind of, look, you just roll with the punches. There were people super upset that I talked about. I lost subscribers on Friday for covering the Ryan Johnson thing. And it's just like, that's fine. Like I can't go into your house and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't mean to offend you. Can we work through this? It's like, no, man, like I'm sorry. Like I'm one person putting out content on the internet. I'd like to believe I bring a lot of value. I stand by certain things, and that's what we do. Yes. Everybody's talking about episode 9. Let's do this. Everybody, please, in the chat, if you would be so kind, type out your prediction for the episode 9 title, because a lot of people are asking that question. I want to go through a couple. I'll shout you out if you give a really, really good one. What are my favorite Star Wars YouTubers that don't focus a shit ton on the negativity? That's a good question. I mean, okay, so I like Star Wars Theory a lot. He's cool. I mean, he's a little bit more on the negative side. I like Collider, Jedi Council. Their stuff's great. You know what I mean? OGs. John Campea does really good stuff about Star Wars. Let me think about this. Oh, who's a really underrated one is Force TV. I hope I'm saying the dude's name right. He talks a lot about he had a channel almost dedicated to Rebels. But he does really good stuff. I really like his stuff too. And I'm trying to, as we move forward with the channel and stuff, to have more YouTubers on the show, Nerd Talk Star Wars. Yeah. Deadly Alliance. That'd be a really cool one. Force Within TV. Yes. He is cool. I like that guy. Children of Prophecy. Episode 9, Children of Prophecy. I like that. Very, very dope. Yeah, the New Order is probably happening. Yeah, Thor Skywalker is cool. Yeah, Heather, thank you. Yeah, everybody should just be themselves. I think too, like, if you're open to stuff and you want to have a discourse with people, that's like completely healthy. And I think moving forward, and everything gets really hair triggery online these days, but I think moving forward, we're really going to get into a better spot, be more empathetic towards each other, and try to like work out issues. A lot of people just like to argue, and they're not trying to see the other side. They're just trying to make enemies. The Lands of Logic. Do you think The Last Jedi hate has negatively affected Rian Johnson's career? Every film he makes from now on will have a negative bias. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's definitely affected his career. But you know what else I was thinking about? In 50 years, we will be talking about The Last Jedi. So Ryan is essentially, he has cemented his legacy, strangely enough. We'll be talking about The Last Jedi in 50 years. Like Star Wars fans, maybe even 100 years from now, like if stuff works, we'll be talking about The Last Jedi. That film will be dissected, chopped apart, thought of, all these different things. I mean, it is that's going to be crazy. Ooh, Kara Mursky has a cool one. True Light. Star Wars Episode 9, True Light. I like that. Kara Mursky is an awesome lady, by the way. Return of the Sith would be dope. Vegan Jesus, Episode 9, Return of the Sith. That would be super cool. Tallow. You know what's funny? I think a lot. I meditate on The Last Jedi all the time. Almost, I mean, let's be real. Too much for an adult. But I agree with you. The Last Jedi will be remembered more positively as time goes on. And Episode 9 will be a big part of that. But the fact is, either way, whether we view The Last Jedi as a really good thing or a huge mistake, it will set us, it's setting everything up for the future. And so I think ultimately, even if the consensus is like years from now, like we'll be like, yeah, that was too risky. They should have played it more safe. That was very dangerous. Even then, we'll think of it as good because we'll be like, okay, so that was the stress test. That was the stress test that showed us where the line was. Now, ever since then, all the Star Wars content has been right in a line. Everybody loves it. We're in an incredible spot. So I think even if the consensus was, shouldn't have done that, we'll still think back positively on The Last Jedi because we'll be like, okay, cool. That was the moment. That was the time. But I mean, I like the movie a lot. I think in a lot of ways, it does not get enough credit for the things it accomplishes. People just focus on the shortcomings, which it has plenty of. A lot of people like The Last Jedi. The New Galaxy, Damien Fuqua. I like that. Star Wars Episode 9, The New Galaxy. The balance. The balance would work. Yeah, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. Yeah, Paige Roberts, definitely. Good point. I love The Last Jedi. However, there were still scenes I hated. That's me. So I like The Last Jedi. Some days I love it. Some days I'm like lukewarm on it. But there's a lot of scenes in that movie that I do not like vehemently dislike. So that's where I'm at with it. Yo, what's up, Cupcake Girl? I like the coming in and just saying, hey, that's cool. I don't mean to tease you. Huh. Okay. Christian Weinberger asks about through The Force Awakens, she doesn't know who her parents are, Rey, but in the throne room, when she says that they're nobody, was her memory imperfect or was she surprised? Was she surprised by who they are? That's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think obviously her memories are imperfect. I also think she's super gifted with the Force and she's been seeing a lot and she can't quite put it all together. And I don't know. That's a lot of that's going to be answered in Episode 9, in my opinion. Jessica Albright says, I think everything that has been happening has been Luke's plan all along. Sort of. I disagree that it was Luke's plan. It was the Force's plan. And I think that Luke might now be aware of that. And interestingly, he'll be able to play a role moving forward because now he's aware of what the Force is doing. In the Force realm? There's no way they'll call it that. That would be cool, though. Darth Hammer, do we really have to go there? Do I have to tell you all the scenes I dislike? I'll just tell you a few. The Leia scene is stupid. The Leia scene where she's flying is terrible. That's a terrible scene. Literally every single time I watch that movie and that scene happens, I get pissed. So that scene I hate. I also really don't like the opening joke with Hux. And I'll just leave it there. Those are the two scenes that I really do not like. Erica Stones is telling me to let my hate flow. All right, guys, I'm going to go 5 or 6 more minutes. Yeah, hit me up with any last minute questions here. I'll try to rapid fire through a few. And then make sure you come back later tonight. I think I'm going to schedule it for 7 o'clock, the episode of Nerds Talk Star Wars with James Razile. But I will be completely honest with you. Look, I really don't like to be negative. I feel like I was a little bit negative in the video tonight. I'm re-recording a little like opening to it to try to explain that. I love Star Wars. I love Disney Star Wars. I love what's going on. It's just sometimes we got to talk about stuff that's not that pleasant. Interesting question by Amelia. Do you think we will see flashbacks of young Rey or young Kylo or even both? Yeah, I do actually. I really do. Especially Kylo. I think, and I've said this a lot in videos, it is important to the redemption of Kylo Ren that we understand how bad he had it, how much Snoke preying on him as a young person was an incredibly brutal experience. So that's going to be important. End of all wars. Ooh, don't like that because then how can we move forward? What canon books have you read or do you read most? Matt C, great question. Lost Stars, it changes for me between Lost Stars and Lords of the Sith as far as my favorite new canon books. Lost Stars is a book where, like, if people were looking to get into ancillary material and read stuff, I'd be like, you got to check out Lost Stars. Lost Stars is like a beautiful little nostalgic massage. Like you hit all the major points throughout the Star Wars canon, but from like new, interesting perspectives. And it is a star-crossed lovers story, which if you have not put that together, I'm a fan of those. I like romance. I like those kind of stories. So Lost Stars, incredible. By the way, I'm reading the manga. They did a manga adaptation of Lost Stars. I think I even talked to James about this, maybe in the episode that's going up later. But yeah, I'm reading that and it's incredible as well. I love that story. So that one's very, very good. Lords of the Sith is great. A super underrated one is Catalyst. Catalyst, which was the book that predated Rogue One. Yo, you got to go read Catalyst, especially if you like Rogue One. That book is incredible. Do I think the haters will win? Oh, that's a weird question. Let me break this down for you, the lands of logic. Um, that's a weird question. They're not going to win. It's not a lose-win scenario. It's it should be more like, is Star Wars going to win? And I think Star Wars wins when look, some of these people are insufferable douchebags. Okay, like that's I'm just gonna be real. Like I have no problem being completely real about this situation. Are the insufferable douchebags gonna win to the point where like they want like the cannon switched around and things like turned around like that? No, those people are not gonna win. But ultimately, there's a bunch of people that do not like what's going on in Star Wars right now. They're completely reasonable individuals, and they give a lot of money to Disney. And those people need to be catered to a little bit. And that should not be a radical or crazy idea. So Star Wars needs to figure out a way to appease its widest customer base, not disenfranchise people. And in that scenario, Star Wars wins and all Star Wars fans win. Like people that love Reylo and people that love Lucasfilm right now and the sequel trilogy, they do not have to lose in order for the other people to win and vice versa. That's not what is happening. It's not what should be happening. How do you explain Ray's super force abilities with virtually zero training? Okay, Darth Hammer. Let's go down this rabbit hole just a little bit here because I think this is important. I think you're obviously probably a skeptic of what's going on in Disney Star Wars right now. So the first thing that I would have to say is that there's this idea of like a vergence in the Force, the idea that the Force itself will centralize its power and into individuals. Anakin is an example of this. Anakin is a vergence within the Force. Okay, and even though we don't have a perfect explanation for how this happens, essentially, it doesn't matter. Anakin is born, is incredibly strong with the Force. His path has a massive effect on what happens in the galaxy and in the Force. Vader, Anakin, both of them. And Rey is very similar. So the first explanation for her super Force abilities is that she is a vergence in the Force. Okay. Now, if that answer gives you this, like, oh man, so she's just gifted with the Force. Look, you have to suspend your disbelief. And I would question why you are upset about that when every single hero in Star Wars has had a similar thing. It's fantasy. Why is Rey so powerful? Because she's the freaking main character in the trilogy. We want our main character to be crazy powerful. Like everybody that watches animes, everybody that reads stories, everybody that checks out comic books. The idea is you are reading a sensationalized version of a character that has incredible abilities. And so the first answer to your question is because she's the main character and she's a Jedi. Now, if you're asking specifically, why is Rey seemingly so much more gifted than a lot of other Jedi that we have seen? That is sort of a fair question. And I think that the jury's sort of still out on that. We might get an explanation in 9. We might get an explanation in ancillary materials, comic books, books, whatever. But I would say that when the idea of the Force awakening is this idea that Rey was sort of chosen as a conduit for light side power. And this is echoed a lot in like the books. The novels do a great job explaining this. Oh, Anakin Skywalker is definitely a Mary Sue. Haters. Okay. But so there's this idea is repeated a lot in the books. So, and Snoke and Luke say this in The Last Jedi. Darkness rises and the light to meet it. Powerful darkness, powerful light, balance. Both of them are talking about this idea. Rey is propped up and made powerful because of Kylo Ren, because of Kylo's being a Skywalker and going to the dark side and causing this huge rift in the Force. Rey is sort of created. On top of that, they're destined to be together in some capacity. Maybe it's not going to work out. In some capacity, they're destined to be together. The light and the dark are being pushed together. And literally, when he reads her mind in The Force Awakens, it's his training, a lot of his abilities get imprinted onto her. Kylo is a straight G. Rey absorbs a lot of his power. Is that fair? I don't know. Ask Kylo how he feels about it. I probably wouldn't feel super good about it, but that's the reality. On top of that, you're talking about a girl who grew up on a desert planet. She had to be self-sufficient. She's clearly good with that staff. she's grown up harsher than a lot of us have in the plushy West. Uh, her naivete is still there, but I mean, she's a strong character. So that's the explanation. Sorry, I rambled there. All right, guys, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna go 5 more minutes. I know I keep saying that, but I'm gonna go 5 more minutes. Literally, when the stream hits an hour and 20 minutes, I gotta go. What is my opinion of the prequel trilogy as a whole? Interesting question. Thank you. The prequel trilogy is great storytelling and mediocre filmmaking. So the story is amazing, and I really, really like it. And the films themselves are mediocre, at least the first two. And the reason the the reason that they're bad, I think, had a lot to do with George. Nobody would tell this guy no. He's a god, right? A similar thing happens with Akira Toriyama in Dragon Ball, where he reaches the status where nobody wants to disagree with this guy. And the truth is, the beauty of the original Star Wars trilogy is that George's vision was put in check by reality. And so he had to sort of fight through adversity. And what came out on the other end was like just pure passion and vision. It's the same thing with Jaws. So the original Jaws, Steven Spielberg wanted, this huge animatronic thing swimming all around, CG. There's all this stuff that he wanted to do, and he could not. He couldn't do it. And so out of scarcity, a lot of the goodness of Jaws comes through. It's just the passion and the scarcity. And so I think the prequel trilogy is an example of there's no scarcity. The guy can do whatever he wants, and he just wasn't put in a check. Luke and Anakin had training and had conflicts. That's totally fair. Anakin Skywalker required training. Why does Rey not? Okay, so look, I'll be completely fair to those questions. Rey absorbing powers literally destroys all Star Wars lore. That's not true, man. Check out the Knights of the Old Republic. That is not true. So when it comes to Rey and the training, look, is there some stuff that I think they need to do better with that? Absolutely. First of all, training's dope. I don't understand. I almost feel like they don't want to show her training and stuff because they think it'll like bore the audience. That's so wrong. Like at least for me, I love training. I want to see that. And I do agree with you that Rey has not faced on-screen challenges enough to make people relate to her, right? So for whatever reason, maybe for time or whatever, they're streamlining that process. It leaves too much ambiguity, which can be perceived as like the Mary Sue, just, Deus Ex Machina sort of thing. So I'm with you. They need to do a better job of that. Like I always go back to in A New Hope when Luke's looking at the corpses of Uncle Owen and his aunt. And I'm like, damn, that shit was brutal. That was brutal. But then again, about 5 minutes later, Luke, with no training whatsoever, is blocking blaster bolts with a shield over his eyes. So, like, I get what you guys are saying, but you just got to be fair. Luke's blocking blaster bolts 2 minutes after leaving Tatooine. Did he require training? Was he being trained right then and there? For sure, man. But, like, I just feel like there is some part of that criticism that is not being objective. By the way, the real crazy thing that nobody talks about with Luke is what the hell happened between the end of Empire and Return of the Jedi? What? And he clearly wasn't with Ben or Yoda. A lot of people think he was just literally on Tatooine, meditating within the Force and just receiving training and just kind of like plugging into the cosmic force and becoming uber powerful. Because when we see Luke in Return of the Jedi, he is on another level, and there was nobody that got him there. Nobody got him there. He got there. The Force got him there. That is a way bigger leap than what's happening with Rey, in my opinion. Yo, Damien Fuqua, I'm definitely going to do Marvel live talks. I guess got to figure that out. We got so much content coming out on the Den of Nerds and a lot of plans. And so I gotta figure that out. I'm not exactly sure. Sorry. Wish I had an answer. But Star Wars Sundays have been such a popular thing. Like Star Wars Sundays, I mean, you know, obviously I love Star Wars more than anything, so it's a little selfish. But Star Wars Sundays have been a great success. A lot of people have continued to come back and show the channel support, and that made it a lot easier. Favorite lightsaber scene in all of Star Wars? Oh man, that's a really good one. Can I say? I almost want to say the whole end of Attack of the Clones. Like the whole end of Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones is a movie that's like really hard to get through for me these days. I'm like, oh my God. But then once you get to the end, dope. The Dooku fight, and not only Dooku fighting Obi and or Kenobi and Anakin, but then him fighting Yoda. Yo, Master Yoda, put in that work. Yo, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this story, but I'm gonna finish the story and then get out of here because I keep saying 5 more minutes. It's like I keep hitting the snooze. I'm just having so much fun. But when I was young when I saw Attack of the Clones, when Yoda pulled out that lightsaber, I am not even kidding. An older lady stood up in our theater and said, "Kick his ass, Yoda! Kick his ass!" And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Yep, it was awesome. All right, guys, so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Thanks for the couple of super chats we got. Seriously, every little bit helps. You guys are amazing. Thank you. And obviously, even just supporting the channel, you know, checking these videos out, giving the likes, the shares, and talking about it is so helpful to what we are trying to do. We're trying to be a bit expressing our love of things with you guys who also love these things. So thank you guys very, very much. Make sure you check out the channel later tonight. Did that episode with James Razile, Nerds Talk Star Wars. Yeah, so check that out. As I always say, guys, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day, and I will see you